It's all wild.
Stupid came back with the best motherfucking reaction, man.
With the crisis, we got crisis. Everybody talking about it. Y'all probably heard about it.
Damn.
This shit is crazy. I don't like bridges. I can't swim. I'd be a dead man if I was in Baltimore. Who in Baltimore that we know? Is it Rocket?
Yeah, Rocket.
Damn, Rocket.
Who else?
I think Rocket and Jay, huh?
No, Jay is in I think Baton Rouge.
Oh, yep, you right.
It's somebody. Oh, that nigga. I ain't remember in a minute. That nigga. What the fuck is his name, bro? What the fuck? Peep. What the fuck is his little name? His little name, folks?
Pete.
Fuck with that nigga name, bro.
Pete.
It was Rocket and two. It's another somebody else.
It was somebody. She was. Oh, Perk. Oh my God. What the fuck? I ain't heard from Perk and damn near. How old is Perk now, folks? He don't get on Twitch. Oh my God.
That nigga Perk, folks.
I forgot all about that, man.
Yeah, I know. It's two of they ass.
Yep. Rocket and Perk, man. Y'all be safe out there. This is crazy.
Damn.
Hope that y'all wasn't nowhere near this shit, because this is wild.
I hope Perk went on that, man.
No cap. No going to school and shit.
Hey there, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on CBS News. I'm Lilia Luciano.
Damn,
We are following breaking news. Rescue workers continue searching for survivors from that massive bridge collapse in Baltimore. A large container ship hit a column of the bridge just after 1:30 Eastern this morning, and a massive portion of the bridge fell into the water, along with several vehicles. A law enforcement official has confirmed the ship, quote, lost propulsion before hitting the bridge. 2 people have been rescued.
Law enforcement ship lost propulsion before hitting bridge.
I hope they tell their story.
2 people rescued? 2 people? That's it? I guess we can't be picky here. 6 people still getting looked for. Yeah, this is a state of emergency. Yeah.
So far from the water, 1 is in critical condition. 6 people are still not accounted for. The governor of Maryland has declared a state of emergency.
Literally, like this
we know the Key Bridge.
Shit.
I've ridden over the Key Bridge countless times. So many of us know the Key Bridge because it is our normal commute. This is a place that is a normal commute route for over 30,000 Marylanders every single day. And so to hear the words that the Key Bridge has collapsed, it's shocking and heartbreaking.
CBS News correspondent Ramy Inocencio is in Baltimore right now. Ramy, let's talk about the atmosphere right now in Baltimore. Of course, the main concern authorities are saying is in rescuing those 7 people who remain missing. But just looking at the bridge and just looking at the map, this is an area that I imagine is going to require a huge shift in people's everyday commute.
Yes, absolutely, Lydia. The Francis Scott Key Bridge has been an iconic fixture of Baltimore for nearly the past 50 years. There's shock, there's disbelief that this bridge now is basically just gone. I've been speaking to some Baltimore residents, and they said that it was a gut punch to something that they've known every single day of their lives. As we heard from the governor just now, people drive this bridge as a normal part of life. Another resident said that they thought it was a majestic bridge that they appreciate as they drive over it, something that they can see the surrounding wilderness, that they can appreciate the surrounding waters and the port of Baltimore with it just nearby. But now the fact that this doesn't exist, and the idea that this may not be replaced in the near future. It took about 5 years for the first bridge to be decommissioned and also to be finally built. If it takes that long, it will have massive repercussions on a day-to-day level, as you just talked about, but also economically for the port of Baltimore, as well as for the country, and really for ships going around the world.
Yeah, I imagine that there is so much that goes through there. Now, you know, one thing that we learned from authorities is that there was a mayday call from the ship that was made before it struck the bridge. I imagine that must have saved a lot of lives. Unfortunately, this happened at 1:30 a.m., not during rush hour. But what else do we know about what happened before the collapse?
So he definitely wouldn't sleep.
Sure. So from what we have been told, the Dali cargo vessel left the port of Baltimore, and shortly thereafter, it was only into a few minutes into its journey, it radioed the port of Baltimore and said that there was some kind of problem, some kind of malfunction, and they had been starting to lose power. And we even see in the live cam footage from that time, just around 1:30 a.m. in the morning, that they started to lose power. The power went out, power went back on, power went out again, and then at some point you see this big fluff, this big cloud of black smoke. That is indicative that they tried to steer the vessel somehow to make to helpfully make it avoid the bridge. We now know that didn't happen, and shortly thereafter we saw that massive shock from that explosion, concrete coming off of the pylon, water splashing off of the ship, and then now we know that the Francis Scott Key Bridge no longer exists.
My gosh, Ray Inocencio, I know you have a lot of reporting ahead, and we'll be back with you in some time. Let's bring in, thank you so much for your reporting. Let's bring in now Roberto Leon. He is a structural professor at Virginia Tech to break down how this all works. Roberto, what sort of precautions are put in place to prevent something like this from happening? It seems from the images like it was just this one hit and then the whole thing collapses. But I imagine when it comes to the engineering of it, there's ways to prevent that.
Yes, thank you for having me, first of all. You're right. We design modern bridges for what we call extreme events, and one of those extreme events is what we call a vessel collision, which is what happened today. Unfortunately, these are for the more modern bridges, and so this bridge did not have very much protection.
At all.
So
that's what I'm saying. This shit
I was noticing earlier today, just looking through ongoing projects, that Maryland is doing a retrofit for one of their big bridges, their Memorial Bridge, and it's at a cost of $100 million or thereabouts to just put the protection that is needed for a bridge of this size. The other thing to think about is that this is just a very large ship with heavily loaded, and so with a lot of momentum, and it's very hard to steer even in the best of circumstances. And so this is a very unfortunate, unusual accident. The bridge is was designed for some lateral loads, but those were mostly the wind loads and perhaps to some level earthquake loads, or those, although I don't think those applied in this area at the time.
Right.
And if you look at a picture of the bridge, the main bridge is sitting on what we call bridge bearings, which are little hinges, and they seem quite slender and small in comparison with the weight they're carrying. So this bridge did not have a lot of lateral resistance.
Not a lot. So this makes me think, I mean, when things like this happen, the whole country and its system of, in this case, bridges, kind of goes into a let's make sure that this doesn't happen again and that we're better protected. Do you see this event as maybe pushing for retrofitting of all kinds of bridges that were built around that time?
Certainly, and so we obviously learned from the mistakes and so on. I will remind you that we had a fairly similar incident in Tampa Bay in 1980, which led to the creation of the new. So it's unusual but not unheard of, and so one of the positive things is that Congress has passed the infrastructure bill, so there should be money for things like this. So I think almost every DOT at this point is beginning to look at their bridge inventory, their big bridges in particular.
Interesting. So maybe bridges go back to or move to the top of the list of priorities. Let's talk about the investigation. There are so many questions, of course, to try and find out and figure out how this happened. And of course, as we were talking about, from the actual structure of the bridge. What do you think investigators are zeroing in on at this moment?
Well, typically when you have a failure of this type, you try to look for what is sometimes called the root causes. And in this case, it appears to be just the loss of control on the ship. And so obviously, when we see incidents of this type, there is generally some sort of technological failure. Obviously, people have already noticed that power went off. But the question really then becomes, so is the ship prepared for an emergency like that? Have they run simulations? The crew, is the crew trained to deal with this kind of emergency? So that's the kind of human factor, I think, that the investigators, I'm assuming it's the National Transportation Safety Board, are going to look at in this case. Insofar as the structure, you know, we learned something from it.
I'm getting him. I'm getting the motherfucker driving that bitch. Who made this? I'm getting all type of motherfuckers.
Says that they're in this sort of crucial 8 to 12 hours where they are sifting through debris, not only the ship, but of course the motor vehicles that we know dropped into the ocean when this collision occurred roughly at 1:30 a.m. this morning.
Nicole, of course there are a million questions, but what are those main questions, the primary ones that the investigation that's underway is focusing on to answer at this very moment?
Going down with it?
Yeah, I think the number one question is, who are these unaccounted for individuals? Were they given any warning, any shot when that Mayday call went out in order to evacuate the bridge here? I think there are also some questions regarding the timeline. You know, we know that the boat left the harbor at 1 a.m. and that this collision happened at approximately 1:30 a.m. Questions about were there still tugboats nearby, and what actually stopped the propelling from the motor of the boat from functioning properly. We can't go yet. Went out, you know, once the propulsion on the boat, there was some sort of malfunction, the power perhaps went out, and so more details around what caused that, you know, and we expect to hear more from law enforcement in the coming hours. NTSB expected to give a presser here in just an hour, so we'll keep all of our viewers posted.
That's holding up a bridge.
We'll definitely go to that press conference when it happens. Nicole Scanga, thank you so much.
This nigga Donald Trump want to be a walls for everything else. Don't get me started. Don't even get me started. Hopefully all them is, you know, Sally, you know, RP to the ones, you know. 2 of them got rescued. Yeah, like, that's crazy. Like, where the fuck? That's why we need more construction
workers. Where the fuck is Joe Biden at, folks?
Bro.
Speaking of this shit, bro.
That nigga, oh boy.
That nigga probably ain't spoken this shit yet.
If it ain't got nothing to do with gay people, he could care less.
Raising guys, though. That's what he care about.
Care about guys, so and sending more money to Ukraine to keep blowing up Palestine and shit.
Oh, fuck.
It's crazy. It's just pointless out here. God damn. All right, chat. We ain't gonna cuss y'all out.